I'd like to call this meeting to order. If you follow along with the Pledge of Allegiance and an invocation by Mr. Houston.
Let's pray. Heavenly Father, we just thank you for who you are and who we are in you, Lord. We thank you for all the many blessings that you pour out upon us each and every day. And we just pray that you be with us this evening. We just pray that you guide us and direct us. And Father, just help us to remain centered in your will as we conduct the business of the city. For it's in Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Thank you, Charlie. Madam Clerk, we had a roll call, please.
Lucas? Here. Denham? Cooper?
Here.
Milton?
Yep.
Howden?
Here.
LeBlanc?
Here.
Schultz?
Here.
Your Honor, you have a quorum.
Thank you. We're going to start off tonight with Director Haley presenting Bob Smither as the Employee of the Month.
Woo. Yeah!
It's for you. On behalf of the mayor, Board of Aldermen, city administrator, and city staff, it's my honor to announce Risk Manager Bob Smither as the City of Branson's August 2024 Service and Excellence Employee of the Month. Hold on. I got lots to say. Bob was nominated for his exceptional initiative and dedication to the well-being of our staff. On Monday, June 24th, anticipating a record-setting heat day, Bob took it upon himself to ensure the safety and comfort of our coworkers. Understanding the dangers of extreme heat, he grabbed a cooler, water, body armor, and a bunch of cooling towels and headed out to deliver to our teams. He meticulously tracked down every individual that was working outside that day on the campground, the streets department, and the police department, ensuring that they received the essential supplies. His proactive and thoughtful actions were immensely appreciated by all and played a crucial role in preventing heat-related illnesses. Bob's dedication to his colleagues' well-being exemplifies the core values of our organization and makes him a deserving candidate for the Employee of the Month. His commitment to his teammates' safety is truly commendable. Bob, your ability to collaborate across departments and share your expertise has strengthened our entire organization. The way you lead by example, always willing to lend a hand, share knowledge, is truly inspiring and greatly appreciated. I'm grateful to have you on the team and to have you as my colleague. Thank you for all that you do.
Oh, yeah.
Whoa, we're way off center now. Come over here. Yeah.
Oh, we'll all move.
I don't know what that means.
What'd you say?
Good job, Jason.
Oh, we could all move.
Don't move.
Bob, do you have anything you want to share?
Okay, really quick. Thank you, everyone, for applauding like that. And so I can't do what I do without the team that I work with. So this is not just for me. I've got such an amazing supporting team that I work with. They give me the foundation and the leeway to do what I do. And so I mean, and I'm thinking what I did that day was just something I would normally do, so I don't see it as something that was like super outstanding. But so, okay, but I will accept this anyway. And so we have so many great employees that work for the city. It's just humbling for me to be here instead of one of them. And so I will do my best to nominate the rest of them. So thank you.
Next, we have Assistant Fire Chief Charlie Houston will present the fire department video for the International Association of Fire Chiefs.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of the board. This is just a brief 5-minute video that we've recently had put together. We think it's pretty dang cool, and we think you will too. But just a little bit of background on that. This week, the fire chief and the division chief of training is they're down in Dallas at the Fire Rescue International Conference. That's hosted by the International Association of Fire Chiefs, or the IAFC. Each year that is put on, and there are thousands of firefighters in attendance from all over the United States and around the globe. And they pick 12 fire departments across the United States to just spotlight by video during this conference. And this year they chose Branson Fire Rescue. So it's a great opportunity for us to showcase some of the things that we are doing here with the unique community that we serve, and how we are approaching some of those things. And so we were pretty excited about it. They sent down a group from Webb's Edge that produced and edited it, and used some local resources from Digital Lunchbox to actually do the filming for us. They will run that this week during the Fire Chiefs Conference, and they will also be running it throughout the year on their YouTube channel, as well as their social media platforms. The nice part is we own the rights to the videos, and so we will be able to, and all the B-rolls as well, so we will be able to use any of that material that we want for additional marketing in the future. But it gave us an opportunity to highlight just a few things that we're doing out there in the community, such as our new apparatus design for our new engines that we're building, the new design features that we built into Fire Station 4, some of our health and wellness initiatives that we're championing, and also the work that we do out in the community with risk reduction at our local attractions. So without further ado, Mr. Chad, you got a video for me?
Speak up, Chief.
The city of Branson was incorporated in 1912 and soon started a fire department 1 year later. And that was a volunteer fire company until the early 1990s. And we've seen growth in our organization, in our service capabilities, with the growth of the community here in Branson.
Attractions started popping up, different music shows in town. Marvel Cave and Shepherd of the Hills novel started bringing people to the area. Branson kind of blossomed out of that. It's really turned into a very nice family-friendly destination.
We operate as a small town fire department that serves and protects big city features, including our theaters, our attractions, and our lodging.
Branson has many unique attractions, from go-kart tracks to zip lines to roller coasters to the Ferris wheel, and we really work closely with the Branson Fire Department and our emergency planning and procedures to make sure that we have a safe environment, not only here but in the entire community.
The attractions are just one area that we focus on to provide a fire-safe vacation destination, a great place to live, work, and play. And so those partnerships with our attractions help reduce risk. We work with those attractions to identify their emergency plans, how we can incorporate our resources into those plans and our response to make a safe destination with the attractions.
The department collaborates with the community stakeholders in a variety of ways. As an all-risk department, we start with the young kids and get them fire safe and educate them that way. In addition to that, we move into plan review and we do fire safety evaluations as far as fire suppression alarm systems. Focus on an all hazard risk reduction improves safety for everyone, tourism and residents alike, by really emphasizing the need for fire safety reduction measures.
We spend a lot of time working within our community, whether it be the residential base or the business world, just seeing what their expectations are and what the needs are. And we try to do our goals and objectives annually to meet or exceed the customer's expectations.
We live in a tourist-based community that has a lot of hazards that other communities may not have. With the fire service really tackling lots of new problems in our communities, we were just overloading our engines. Our engines 1 and 3 are unique in the area, as we have really built them to be the rescue engine concept, meaning that they have the full capability of fire attack and those types of responsibilities.
The design of this engine starts with our apparatus committee. So they researched through our call volume and our call types and looked at what was needed. They spec'd out where every piece of equipment went, and then they built that engine, that rescue engine concept, to better serve our community. So you see a lot of uniqueness in this apparatus that's just designed to be a more efficient response. We strive hard to invest in our firefighters every year, whether we've talked about the safety programs, the new station designs, the new apparatus designs, and the capabilities. That gives them a great platform to work from to provide excellent service here to the Branson community.
The Branson Fire and Rescue, we focus on our health and wellness of our firefighters in a number of ways. We provide an annual physical that's laid out in NFPA 1582. We also provide gyms at all of our stations to work out not only in weight training, but cardiovascular training. Additionally, we focus on cancer reduction for all of our firefighters through the provision of 2 sets of fire gear, as well as the expectation of getting themselves cleaned up after a fire. Fire Station 4 was designed in a way to really promote firefighter health and safety. Our gear is now isolated from any of the diesel exhaust emissions, as well as we have a gear extractor to wash gear after working fires. The steam showers are designed to really reduce the risks of cancer to our firefighters by opening their pores as they're getting themselves cleaned up and get all of the particles from the smoke and fire out of their skin.
The Branson Fire Department has been very good partners with us over the years. They've been super great to work with and super helpful if ever anything comes up.
Our firefighters, we ask them to be fully involved with their work, fully involved with the community that we serve, and fully involved, most importantly, with their families. That engagement helps us organization-wide strive for excellence.
I fully believe that Branson Fire and Rescue is completely ready and capable to face any challenges it may face in the future.
All of these guys are available for autographs at a later time.
Charlie, thank you so much. We're obviously real proud of our fire department. We provide the tools. You guys practice with them, and last week I got to see you guys in action in my backyard on Lake Taneycomo. Yeah. We just couldn't be more proud, and we feel safe.
Thank you.
So thank you. Next is the public comment. Hillary, how many speakers do we have this evening?
We have 16 speakers.
16. So with that, we're going to be limiting all public comments to 3 minutes. And so this is the public comment section of the Board of Aldermen meeting. At this time, the board will hear from citizens who have signed up in the order they are listed. Please note the clerk will let speakers know when they have 30 seconds left, and a notification will sound when their time is up. We ask that speakers wrap up their comments upon hearing the 30-second warning. If a speaker would like a board member to bring an item from the consent agenda down for additional discussion, please note this request during comments. Madam Clerk.
Our first speaker is Mona Miller, speaking on Military Month 2025.
Okay, everybody probably knows me, but my name is Mona Miller, and I live at 5751 State Highway 165, Site 11 at the Stagecoach RV Park. Well, I've been here for a lot of years. We are not going to talk about my age. But I have been the morale officer for Veterans Week for over 20 years. For over 20 years, I've placed my arms around thousands and thousands of vets during Veterans Week. And I've heard their stories. And I know that the city of Branson is the most greatest PTSD medicine ever created by God. So with that, I have a letter I'm going to read, and it's pretty self-explanatory. Dear President Trump, enclosed you will find a formal invitation to come to Branson, Missouri on May the 3rd, 2025, is National Military Appreciation Month. Branson is known for our love and respect of our vets. I have served as morale officer for Vet Week for the past 20 plus years. My vets come back year after year as they have told me it is the best PTSD medicine ever. There is a magic in Branson that cures PTSD with love, respect, and honor. Sir, we can't seem to get our younger vets to come. We are losing 22 vets a day. I believe if we could get them to come here, the healing could begin. Dear President Trump, if you can come, they will come. I feel you will do something for National Military Appreciation Month. Please come kick it off in the heart of America, in the most patriotic city in the United States, to greet our troops.
30 seconds.
Mona Miller, U.S. Army vet, and my email address. I'm letting you know that I have a notebook that I'm going to send with a formal invitation of signatures of people who would appreciate him coming here to greet our troops. And I'm here tonight to ask to see if any council members would like to be amongst the first to sign the invitation.
Mona, I will absolutely be honored to sign that. Madam Clerk?
Our next speaker is Lena Hughes, speaking on TCED endorsement.
Yes, please.
Okay. All right. Can you hear me? All right. Well, I'm Lena Hughes, and I live at 368 Santa Fe Avenue in Branson, Missouri. And also, I'm the co-owner with my sons of the Hughes Brothers Theater and Hughes Entertainment, Inc. And that's at 3425 West 76 Country Boulevard. Well, I'm here to endorse Cindy Mary as the right person to continue to represent the city of Branson on the TCED board. And the reason I believe that she should stay on the TCED board is because she's helped the city of Branson so much during the past two and a half years that she's served there. Those of you who sit on the board know how influential Cindy Mary has been in helping the city recognize that they deserve to receive a detailed budget that tells them how the tax dollars are going to be spent by the organization they've turned that money and their trust over to. It's taken 2.5 years, but the TCED now has a detailed budget from the CDB. This is just one of the many changes that have been made for the betterment of tourism in Branson. Cindy Mary has lobbied hard to make sure city money is used correctly, and she will continue to do that. Another reason it's good to have Cindy Mary on the TCED board is that she has a wealth of information, as she's lived and worked in Branson for more years than I know. That is important to our family because my children and grandchildren have been doing shows in Branson for 30 years now, and we've really appreciated the help that Cindy Mary's given us. I like the fact that there's someone who really cares about the success of the shows and attractions in Branson, who has the expertise, experience, and knowledge to know what has worked in the past, and also savvy enough to understand that we need to embrace the future too. So we need people that know how Branson can flourish with a balance of the old and the new. Cindy Mary is not a pushover. A lot of people know that. But a pushback. The city needs someone who holds the people accountable so that our tax dollars can benefit all taxpayers and the constituents of the city. If people are not held accountable and everyone's afraid to ruffle any feathers, they fall in line thinking all is well, even though there are things that are wrong, and losses will stay as losses. How much time do I have?
30 seconds.
Okay. I will skip this next part. Okay, I love the proclamation that was made by our mayor that stands for faith, family, flag, and fun. And I know that Cindy Mary supports all of those principles in her lifestyle and in her work ethics. If you could really know her like I do, you would know that Cindy Mary has a heart of gold and devoted most of her life to helping Branson flourish. Please let her continue to serve as Branson as a member of the TCED board. Thank you.
Lena, thank you so much. Madam Clerk?
Our next speaker is Heidi Bitter, speaking on Ordinance 6472.
Good evening. My name is Heidi Bitter. I live here in Branson on 511 Timberlane Drive in Ward 2. I've been a nurse for 16 years, and I have a master's degree in nursing and public health. I wanted to address the council in reference to this bill as I had some concerns with the noise ordinance levels and the health and safety of our community members. And there was a lot of discussion over the sound levels in our last meeting. I did extensive research on what various studies have shown regarding sound levels. Specifically, the World Health Organization has a whole community guideline outlined for DBA and DBC levels. They state that for a good night's sleep, the equivalent sound level should not exceed 30 dBA for continuous background noise. They say that prolonged exposure to any sound level over 50 dBA can cause permanent effects such as hypertension, ischemic heart disease, which leads to heart attacks, accelerating latent mental health disorders, development of neuroses, a decrease in cognitive performance, hearing impairment, and sleep disturbance. The EPA also echoes many of these same principles in the WHO packet. They also suggest an average day to night sound level of 55 dBc. With this data and research in mind, and I only have 3 minutes, so I won't get into all of the other research I have, I ask that we set a dBA from 50 to 53 and a dBc level from 50 to 55. I also, there's also another ordinance that was in discussion regarding the primary structure requirements. And based on what was said from the planning committee, and I would also ask that we continue to keep the primary structure in mind for the safety of anybody who wants to build buildings in our community in the future. I also ask that we enlist the services for further study of an industrial hygienist who is a neutral third party to evaluate and recommend mitigations of the data mining sound for the well-being of our community. And I ask that we seek to understand the environmental impact of this proposed industry on our animals,
30 seconds.
our unique topography, and make sure that we're not affecting our beloved Ozarks. Thank you.
Thank you, Heidi.
Our next speaker is Steve Bitter, speaking on Ordinance 6472, Noise Amendment.
Hi, friends. My name's Steve Bitter. I also live on Timberlane Drive. We are just
Steve,
to the
I'm
south.
sorry, would you speak a little bit closer to the mic?
Sure.
Just,
It's not obvious, is it? Right. How's that? All right. Got a plan? Okay. That's great. Thanks. I'll try to keep it brief. My name is Steve Bitter. I also live on Timberlane Drive. We are just to the south of the proposed data mining center on Commerce Loop. We lived there 5 years. I work from that property. I've owned my own design and consulting firm for the last year, so I don't want this to be built where we're at, but I know that not in my backyard is not a good argument to enact public policy. So I want to just address a couple other things that I think broadly affect the project. As my wife said a moment ago, there are really good bases of research from a public health perspective rather than an OSHA perspective, like we discussed on, was that August 1st, the last hearing of this? I believe the baseline set at that meeting was 60 to 65. I believe that's too high. I think regulating sound from a public health perspective makes a lot more sense using that WHO data. So again, just to echo what was said a moment ago, 50 to 53 for DBA and 50 to 55 for DBC is that WHO recommendation for background noise that will affect people's health long term, especially those of us that might live in the immediate area of something like this. I'd also like to ask that we regulate both of those levels. There was a lot of argument about, do we do DBA or DBC, and how difficult it is to translate those two things back and forth to each other. I think keeping a perspective of both of those as a potential disturbance to our community is really important, and I would ask that we keep both of those things regulated in this ordinance. I see that as it's written, it's only DBC. I think both of those should be important, so I'd propose that we amend that potentially. The last thing I'd like to suggest is that we continue to require a special activities permit for each and every one of these proposed projects. I understand that that's the way it's written right now, but the idea being that individualized situations may have unique facets. I'm thinking of the example we're talking about at the Commerce Loop. That's a lot that's pitched down towards the bottom of a ravine. If we think about sound barriers built at the perimeter, a sound barrier might be built way at the bottom of a property where that sound would want to travel out and up, and we maybe haven't factored that in to a specific project. I can imagine other instances where there's unique aspects to a property that might affect how that's executed and how it affects the neighbors. And so I think that special activities process is going to be good policy to just take a close look at all the individual
30
projects
seconds.
as they develop. Those are the 3 S I would say, is let's regulate DBA and DBC. Let's keep those levels at a public health level rather than an OSHA perspective, and then also take a look at each project on a case-by-case basis. Thank you.
thank you, Steve.
Our next speaker is Michelle Ward, speaking on data center.
Hello, I'm Michelle Ward, and I'm going to read a letter that Jeff and Christina Crowell wrote as they are unable to attend tonight due to previous engagements. It specifically says, "Dear board members, I just want to thank you for all you've done in regard to the proposed ordinance dealing with the industrial park. As owners of America's Best Campground, we are in support of the ordinance being passed as written. The ordinance would protect not only the residents near the industrial park, but also our business and future businesses. Sincerely, Jeff and Christina Crowell. And also, as an employee there are several other employees from the campground here. Several of us have been there decades or more. And we're also in support of the ordinance written as it will protect our community and the community's interests. Thank you all.
Thank you, Michelle.
Our next speaker is Lois Fulkerson, speaking on mining.
First of all, I want to thank the board and everyone on the committee for the work they did on the ordinance. I wanted to give you some information that I just recently found out because this is new to me. But I found out that China started mining in 2011, and in 2021 they shut down the mining due to high emissions control. And now they're doing mining in Thailand and other places nearby. Since then, a lot of the mining has moved to the United States, mostly in Texas and up through Georgia and New York. And in New York, they have shut down the mining there because the electricity use has become too much and becomes too expensive. The states of Oregon and Washington have banned all mining whatsoever. Excuse me. Now miners are going to small towns, such as Branson, where there are no ordinances regarding the mining, and where there's excess energy available to them. So, and they're looking at the electric rates. And they also look for these towns without the regulations where they can come in and kind of do what they want. Where I come from, 17 years ago, our city had an ordinance that we protected everyone in the city and everyone outside of the city within a mile. And I think that's something that we need to look at. By the way, I forgot to tell you, I live in Cottages of Ashbrook, which is on DeVille Circle, just south of, well, just off of 248 and Shepherd of the Hills. The constructions, when I talked to several people like in Arkansas and Texas, the constructions of these mines are devaluing property by about $100,000. Now, for a lot of people, they've invested a lot of money into these mines, or into these houses, and now you're asking to do away with the tax revenue that would come from this. I don't know if that tax revenue is offset by anything that the city was going to get from the mines. But something that they need to look at is not only is the property being devalued, but the noise level and the vibration is having an effect on residents, has been stated earlier. It's causing people to have vertigo, ear ringing, high blood pressure, and it interferes with people with pacemakers, CPAP machines. It makes all of that.
30 seconds.
Sorry. So anyway, to make it short, we all live there. We all have to breathe and listen to that noise 24/7. My question is the ordinance you have is great, but what about another ordinance? Like a lot of the small towns I've talked to, they've put an ordinance out that says no mining of any kind. Sweet, short, simple. Thank you.
Thank you, Lois.
Our next speaker is Kathleen Downing, speaking on crypto mining ordinance. Leave it as is.
What's the question? Well, it's...
Good evening. This is
Excuse
my
me.
husband. He's the next person.
Excuse me
to
just one
speak.
second. As people are speaking, they can request to have this item pulled down from the consent. I'm sorry, go ahead. What was
Oh, okay. Was that towards me?
Nope.
Oh, okay.
I was looking through you.
I'm Kathleen Downing, and this is my husband.
Corky Downing.
Yeah. And we've been working for ABC Campground for over 10 years, coming once a year, doing their guest guides and so forth. And we have been following this data center ordinance and have been to a couple other meetings and really appreciate all the time and effort all the aldermen put into it, and feel that we would like to see it stay the way it's written. I know some people have brought up some other comments about the noise actual levels, and I kind of agree with that because of the research that they did, but we would like to see it remain the way that it is for the benefit of the community.
I'm sorry, I didn't catch your name.
Corky Downing.
Corky?
Yes, sir.
Thank you for your service.
Appreciate that. Thank you.
So our next speaker was Charles Downing. You didn't, you're good. Okay, got it. So our next speaker is Candace Cook, speaking on ordinance.
Thank you, Candace.
Our next speaker is Gary Groman, speaking on TCED.
Boy, it sure was nice when I had the podium to leave. In October of 2022, I appeared in front of this board and I shared some information with you. At that time, the composition of the TCED was 3 members from Branson, 1 member from Taney County, 2 members from Indian Point, 1 member from Stone County. It's a total of 4 members from Taney County, 3 members from Stone County. I also shared at that time that between the years 2019 and 2021, the city of Branson contributed in TCED taxes and Branson tourism taxes $29 million. That was 88% of all the funds that were created. Stone and Taney County contributed 12%. At that time, we had 57% of the board was from Taney County, and 43% was from Stone County. When I see the money being collected from Branson is 88% Branson and 12% from Stone County, and I figure that tourism is one of our biggest economic indicators, I thought that we ought to take some action to see if we could get things reapportioned. As we sit here tonight, the board composition is still the same. Nothing has been done, except something's different. Stone County now has the chairman of that board. That, to me, is nuts. We're paying 88% of the money. It directly affects us. Why can't we do something? Don't we want to do something? If you do, I've got some pretty good suggestions. I know you're going to say write them down, but I don't want to write them down if you don't even want to talk about them. So if you want to talk about them, please let me know, and I'll come and talk to you, and then you can decide where you want to go from there. But for Pete's sake, do something. Almost 2 years have passed. Thank you. Oh, by the way, that's a great idea that lady had, get Mr. Trump here. What a way to start the meeting.
Did you sign the sheet?
Yeah, sure did.
Good.
Our next speaker is Moxie Black, speaking on local residents.
Good evening. I was originally going to say that I had shortened this significantly to fit into 5 minutes, so I'm probably going to have to speak a lot faster, so I apologize. But the topic I'm presenting is one that is not discussed often, but one that is begging for our attention. This affects so many residents, and yet very few know how widespread and serious the problem actually is. These issues include overpopulation of cats and dogs, the need to spay and neuter dogs roaming, and dumped animals. My hope is that we can work together, collaborating skills, authority, and resources in order to make positive changes through multiple actions that will improve the livelihood of animals in this city. We need more education for the public about the importance of spaying and neutering your pet because prevention is the key to not overpopulating. I would like the opportunity to visit schools, businesses, and various events to raise awareness about this and promote better care and health for our animals. We also need to try to help people understand that everything will not always go as we planned. So we can't assume that a dog will not try to escape the yard if left there unattended. Dogs were not meant to just roam around. And when they are not spayed or neutered, someone ends up with an unwanted litter, and as we see on a regular basis, dumps the puppies on some highway or in front of a store, assuming someone else will deal with their problem. I have seen several dead dogs and cats who were hit by cars. This is unacceptable and avoidable. In all my travels, I have never seen so many dead domestic animals, and it is a constant source of stress and pain for those who lose them. We need to keep our pets inside during inclement weather and fireworks. I would also like to suggest removal of dead animals, domestic or wild, in order to keep our streets cleaner and less stressful and dangerous for drivers. Leaving them there implies we are okay with dead animals littering our streets, and in addition to working to prevent fewer deaths in the first place, I think it is important to local residents and tourists if we do not leave them lying there. While getting a degree in criminology, I studied a lot about corrections and prisons. Studies have shown that cement walls, isolation from the outside world, and very little social interaction causes extreme mental strain and often leads to unwanted behaviors. The same thing happens with dogs in traditional shelters with cement walls, floors, and chain link fences for doors. Dogs that come into the shelter with some issues or even none at all only decrease in emotional and mental stability. There is a desperate need for modernized animal care facilities throughout our nation as well as right here in Branson.
30 seconds.
I have seen many of these types of facilities in other states with vinyl flooring, real walls, windows, air conditioning, proper heat and ventilation, and noise reduction materials. These type of improvements to animal care and holding increase employee and volunteer productivity, satisfaction, and create a healthier and stable environment for the dogs and cats being housed there. I think that a new location for an animal facility. Can I continue?
I'm sorry, Moxie, we have to
Okay.
history with it, but thank you very much.
I will say that in conclusion, my question to the board is, can we start conversation about making some changes for the animals here in regard to trap, neuter, return, resources, low-cost spay and neuter, a new facility? Is that
Need to-
possible?
Sure.
Okay.
Kathy?
Thank you.
Sorry, thank you.
Our next speaker is Shelley Kleypas, speaking on local residents.
Mm-hmm.
I am a continuation of my...
Into the mic, please.
My name is Shelley Kleypas. I have lived in the area for 47 years. My address is 8608 State Highway 176. In the 47 years I've been here, I've had 4 businesses, 2 of which were in downtown Branson. The Corner Deli, you're all too young. The Corner Deli and Finders Keepers Flea Market, where Chappie Mall is. Over the many years here, I have rescued and given homes to dozens of cats and many dogs. I was able to provide a safe haven for them, and it has been a privilege to do so. That being said, for many, that has not been the case. Branson and the surrounding area has literally become a dumping ground for unwanted pets, litters of puppies and kittens tossed by the side of the road like trash, and also large amounts of animals that get hit by cars and left by the wayside. It's a sad situation and not acceptable. Our city needs to address this problem and come up with a sound and reasonable solution. As a volunteer at Taney County Animal Control, I see many happy adoptions. But I also see the many, many dogs and cats that are brought in. And it seems to be getting worse. Branson is a community that gives back to its people, and I have seen that time and time again. but now is the time to do the same for our dogs and cats. There is a definite need for a low-cost spay and neuter facility that is an important step towards the issues. Not Springfield, not Harrison, but right here in Branson. There is a need for more education in the school system too. And Moxie and I would like to start a program where we go and speak to the kids, which I've done once before in Forsyth, and just about pets and responsibility and all that. In an assembly, you know, like one school every month. And lastly, an updated animal control facility so that we can help more animals find new
30
homes
seconds.
and a better life. We need to step it up, Branson. What an example our town would be to our tourists and all those who live in the surrounding areas. This was on Facebook. Animals have no voice. They can't ask for help. They can't ask for freedom. I start crying. They can't ask for protection. Humanity must be their voice. And that's
Thank
it.
you,
Thank
Shelley.
you.
Our next speaker is Dwight McKee speaking on Bitcoin mining.
I don't have a prepared speech this evening. I am a resident.
You speak closer to the
Villages
mic,
of
please.
Ashbrook. I
Right.
live on Deauville Circle.
You speak a little closer to the microphone,
Okay.
please? Thank you.
I share the same concerns that Lois Fulkerson addressed this evening. I am concerned about the level of decibels. I think it should be lowered. I think that is obvious. I've done research, seen YouTube videos, and I think the levels of decibels that these Bitcoin mining operations operate at, it's difficult for them to operate at the 65 level, and often it's higher. And I am concerned about the health risk. I'm a cancer survivor, and I'm also a heart patient following having long-term COVID. And I'm very thankful for the access to health care here in Branson. I moved here last October, so impressed with how friendly this town was and receptive to people moving here. And I don't think we need an operation like this that would affect the enjoyment of living. The neighborhood that I live in, we're a close neighborhood. It's a very quiet neighborhood and a well-maintained neighborhood. And I have no doubt in my mind that if we have the negative effects of this operation in our neighborhood, it will substantially lower our property values. And that, in turn, would lower tax revenue for the city of Branson. Thank you.
Thank you, Dwight.
Our next speaker is Gabe Palacios.
Okay, Palacios, the troublemaker, I'm back. Yeah, 1 minute, right? No, I'd like to say I'm in agreement with what these folks are saying, 100%. They're advocating that we should hire a third-party industrial hygienist. We did just do that. We reached out to 2 of them licensed in the state, and they recommended a guy named Phil Wentz, who's a licensed Missouri sound engineer. He gave us quite a few good recommendations. He specifically deals with environmental sound, so not just in the facility, but how it affects communities around him. He specifically helps communities like this one draft ordinances, and he specifically has experience dealing with crypto mining and data center facilities in the past. And so in discussing the way that this ordinance is drafted, I think his recommendation was if you want to use DBC, sure, let's use that as a metric, but absolutely we need to bring in DBA as well. I think that the utmost and most responsible thing that we could possibly do is advocate to have an expert of that nature and of that level come in as a third party and represent the city of Branson and take your all's best interests at heart and the residents and everybody here that's speaking and help you guys draft a sound ordinance that is tailored perfectly for this community. He also, to address some other concerns, he also deals with topography, and he can do this 3D sound mapping and shoot the sound off in different areas in his computer program and frankly help somebody like my clients and assure us that, you know, if they're gonna come in and put down this multi-million-dollar facility that they're also protected and that we're not gonna come in and produce something that's gonna be immediately shut down. Nobody would take that risk either, right? And so, you know, you guys are drafting a large ordinance, not just about me and my client, it's a larger thing, but I think that that would be a responsible thing to do. Also, would like to address, once again, lines 156 dictates a 50-foot setback. I think that the 50-foot setback needs to be detailed as a 50-foot setback to the menus, as the menus are the offensive thing with sound and noise. If the 50-foot setback is just for the menus, we can use other elements on the site architecturally, be it other buildings or fences and screen to help screen and buffer both sound. So it would help if the 50-foot setback is just for the menus. And again, line 152, the primary structure needs to be built before the menus. I would like to advocate that if we could simply put a bond down at the value of the building, let's say that's a $500,000 building, let's put down a bond for $500,000. We're guaranteed to have to build that building, but to
30
impede
seconds.
progress in a construction site, otherwise, I don't think is fair nor American. And I'll just close by saying I really want to thank you guys. You really have done a ton of work. Kathy, you and your department have been excellent to work with. Mayor, the same, all of you, even the hard-headed ones of you guys that we've been, you know, it really has been great to work with you guys. And no matter how you vote on this, you know, I hope everybody turns out and gets protected in the end, however you guys decide. Thank you.
Thank you, Gabe.
Our next speaker is Alan Mock, speaking on zoning. So our final speaker is Chris Meyer, speaking on Ozark Mountain Christmas end date.
Good evening. I thought since I was going to be here tonight, I would talk about the end date because I think last year the city council set the end date for Ozark Mountain Christmas as January 7th, which is a Sunday. But I don't think they thought about how the calendar changes every year. And so I would encourage you to go back and look at that. And instead of just saying it's arbitrarily January 7th, look at what is that date of because January 7th last year was a Sunday night. Well, this year, January 7th is a Tuesday. So I would encourage, and I think, you know, when we put stuff on our ad, our Ozark Mountain Christmas ads, if we have January 7th and we're just picking that because y'all picked it last year, that doesn't make a lot of sense, quite honestly. And so I would encourage you to relook at that and then when most things are going to be open. So that's just food for thought. Take it back and discuss it.
Chris, thank you very much for that. That's it. Next is the consent agenda. Are there any items that any member of the board would like to have moved down from the consent agenda to ask additional questions or comments?
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
I'd request that item 4, bill number 6472, be pulled from the consent agenda.
Okay. Madam Clerk, would you please read the items on the consent agenda as amended?
Your Honor, the items on the consent agenda are as follows. Approval of the Board of Aldermen minutes for the July 23rd, 2024 special meeting, July 23rd, 2024 regular meeting, and August 1st, 2024 special meeting. Acknowledge receipt of Planning Commission minutes for the June 4th, 2024 regular meeting, and acknowledge receipt of monthly contract report from July 2nd, 2024 to August 5th, 2024. Your Honor, that concludes the reading of the consent agenda.
Do I have a motion approving all items on the consent agenda?
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Madam Clerk, take a roll call vote, please.
Lucas? Denham?
Yes.
Cooper?
Yes.
Howden?
Yes.
LeBlanc?
Yes.
Schultz?
Yes.
The result of the vote is 5-0, motion carries. Your Honor, this is a final reading of Bill number 6472, an ordinance for municipal code amendments throughout Chapter 94, including but not limited to the industrial zoning district, noise regulations, and special use requirements for data centers, data mining, and similar industries.
And we'll get a report. Oh, Alderman Schultz, you pull this down?
We would need a motion and second just to put it on the floor for a discussion.
So moved.
Who made the motion? Oh, you made the motion. Second?
Second.
So we have a motion and a second, and now we'll hear from Glenn.
Yeah, Mr. Mayor and Board, I'd like to propose an amendment to our ordinance, and it's rather lengthy, and I'd ask the staff to bring it up on screen so that it can be followed. And if you'd permit me to go through the amendment, and if there's a second, I'd welcome the opportunity to comment briefly on the amendment after that.
So Glenn, you want to go through?
I'll go through the
whole thing?
amendment.
Okay,
Yep.
thank you.
So first in section 94.5 definitions, we have the definition of sound pressure level. I would request that the phrase "and a 10 millisecond response with peak detection per ANSI S 1.4-214 be struck, and in its place the phrase "and measured as LEQ, equivalent continuous sound level, over a 15-minute measurement period, reference to ANSI S 1.4, IEC 61672, and IEC 801-22-16. Then in industrial uses, section 94-61, entitled Use and Structure of Standards, paragraph F1, I'd ask that the following be added, beginning with item F. A minimum setback shall be required for all structures except fences and walls located on the subject property, measured from the subject property lines to the property lines in question. G, the minimum maintained vertical foot candle at an adjoining residential property line be 0.5 foot candles measured at 3 feet above the grade. H, all utility lines serving the site and located on the subject property shall be contained underground. I, all parking areas, drive aisles, service areas, storage, and loading docks be constructed of a hard surface, parentheses, i.e. asphalt/concrete, close parentheses, conforming to the Branson Municipal Code requirements. J, testing of generators is prohibited between the hours of 11 p.m. and 7 a.m. If generators are located outside an enclosed building, a screening wall shall be required. K, the SPL attribute to infrastructure of the industrial use on the property shall not exceed 65 dBc, as measured at every property line. For industrial uses located within 500 feet of an allowed residential use or district, place of worship, daycare, park, lodging, establishment, parentheses, including bed and breakfast, inn, campground, and recreational vehicle park, hotel and motel, nightly rental and timeshare unit, close parentheses, and educational facilities, the SPL attributable to the facility shall not exceed 55 dBc at every property line. Then in section 94-62C, 2C, paragraph II, that begins buffering, I'd ask that after all structures, we add the parentheses except fences and wall, close parentheses. Then on appeals, section 94-62, paragraph C, 2D, subparagraph 4, IV, that begins, if at any time the data center operation strikes the word exceeds, puts in the word violate, then continues as the standards set forth in this section, then adding the wording, the planning and development director shall give 5 days notice in writing to the owner of the building, structure, or property on which the violation is located, stating the nature of the violation and ordering the owner to cease violation or to bring the property into compliance. Note, to the owner may be given first-class mail, personal delivery, or posting on the property. Notice given shall state the violation of the standards and the time within which the violation must be abated. A notice of violation in order to abate under this article may be appealed by filing a written appeal in the office of the Planning and Development Director within 5 calendar days of the violation notice. The Board of Adjustment shall hear the appeal in accordance with its usual procedure. The Board of Adjustment, upon finding that a violation exists, may approve or modify the order of the Planning and Development Director. The Board of Adjustment's decision may be appealed in the manner provided by law, and then strike the special use permit shall be revoked and operation shall cease. I believe that concludes the amendment. So moved, Mr. Mayor.
Any comments from the,
Can we get a second?
oh,
On that really quick.
Second.
so now I'd like to get comments from the board, please.
Mr. Mayor, if I may just introduce the nature of the amendment.
Sure.
Sorry for the long monologue there. First of all, I think what we sought to do here is propose to the board ways that we can strengthen the amendment. The definition of sound pressure level, I think, makes it more realistic to the type of environment that we're measuring in, and also makes it doable with more standard instrumentation instead of highly specialized instrumentation. The industrial use amendment puts most of the code in terms of what we envision for an industrial center in place. And then we clarified the question that was brought up about do fences and walls, clarified that in terms of setback. And then we also clarified the appeal process in the event that they are in violation of the sound ordinance.
Any other board members? Anybody from the audience like to address these amendments?
In the section where it.
You state your name really quick.
Oh, sorry, Bob Hewells, Commercial One Brokers. In the section where we talk about going from 65 to 55, so, and I understood why, is because of the different uses that are around there. It said at the property line, and I'm starting to get a little confused at which property lines. So at the project's property line or at the motel's property line? At the projects, okay, that makes more sense to me. It was confusing me for a second there. And I frankly can't remember my other question, but that was what I was worried about. Oh, I know what the other one was, I'm sorry. But we fixed one problem that we had come up with about the fence. If in fact this is any project is a multi-use project that includes crypto coin, but other property uses, does the fence go around the crypto coin mines only, or does it have to go all the way around the entire property line? So in other words, why hide a beautiful building with a 10-foot wall? And the other reason I ask that is if we could bring those on anybody's project, if we brought those fences in closer to the mines themselves, the menus, then I think they would do more soundproofing. I don't understand that completely, but I think it would. I was thinking if it's out here, then it'll go over it, like somebody else said where they had topography. If it's in here, then maybe we can get it to bounce and go back and forth and people won't have as much problem. That's just my question really, is where does that fence have to go?
Your Honor, I can answer that question. There is not a requirement for a fence or a wall, but if a fence or a wall is desired, it can go behind the primary structure. It cannot go in front of the primary structure like a compound. As to the screening, which is required around a menu, there's not a requirement as to where it should be, but the menu cannot be within 50 feet of the property line.
Thank you. Anybody else in the audience have any questions or comments? Thank you, Bob. Those online listening, Bob Hughes just made a comment that he appreciated the. What was that? Bob just
7:06.
gave a
with
rare
8:13.
compliment to the board for doing a good job. Sorry.
Okay, this gentleman was up here a little while ago and said
Can I get your name for the record really quick?
Tom Holgrave.
Thank you.
Yes.
This gentleman was up here a little while ago, and some clarity. He said something about not putting the primary structure up, but putting a bond up instead, and then just building the menus and not building the primary structure first. Is that correct?
That was not in the ordinance, the amendments that were just read.
Oh, I know. Oh, well, that's the question I had. I thought it was open for any question.
Oh, it is.
Okay, so.
He asked about that, but we're not voting on.
But could we clarify that? Is that what he really said?
Holly,
It doesn't matter, sir, just because in the amendments that we just made, the option to bond instead of putting up the primary structure was not included in the board's requested changes. So it's moot. Thank you.
So just to clarify and make sure I understand, we're sticking with DBC, and we're not changing that at all. So just want to make sure that everybody on the board understands that as it exists right now, if this building was to try and get permitted, it would fail. 40 feet, 50 feet away, you're over the sound limits as they're dictated in here. Also want to make clear that everybody understands that the property that my clients are looking at would fail as it sits right now with nothing but grass sitting on that field. So loud and clear, anti-progress. That's essentially what you're saying. You're saying that not only can we not build a data mining center there, but we can't build anything. Because as it exists, a blade of grass fails us right now. We've gone out there, we've read sound levels, we've shown you those readings. We've made it clear that as the property sits, the sound levels that exist out there right now do not pass this ordinance. So once again, loud and clear, there is no progress in Branson, Missouri regarding data centers of any kind.
thank you, Gabe.
Hello, Heidi Bitter again. I took a decibel, I borrowed one of the engineer's decibel meters from my hospital where I work at, and I went on the Branson loop, all around the loop, and I measured dBA and dBc, which is what the meter lets you read. On Sunday afternoon at 1 p.m., the level was, the meter read low, which is less than 40 dBA, and that's with birds, cicadas, everything. The level with dBc that I measured was 50 to 52. When a truck drove by, it was 68, and that's just a truck. And I think that was it for our readings. Oh, the running averages that we took were 50 to 51 dBc, and the dBA was still less than 40. Thank you.
Thank you, Heidi. Anyone else? Hearing none.
Paul Hamburger. I'm in the same development that Tom and Lois have spoke from. So are there any, it seems like we're guessing a little bit here from an architectural standpoint as to how they would mitigate noise from, I mean, these structures are all over the country. So, but it seems like we're guessing a little bit here as to how things can be properly designed. So there are many other different ways to design a data center, so it is friendly. So I'm not sure where that struggle is right here. So that's just
Thanks,
a
Mark.
couple of comments.
You bet, thank you. Anybody else? Hearing none, any additional comments from the board?
So we are,
Voting to approve the amendments.
there, you don't need me. This is good.
So we're gonna, I'm looking for a motion and a second to approve the amendments only. Oh, we have that, because we did that before we started talking.
We just need the vote. Yes, sir. You got it.
Okay, let's vote. All in favor of the amendments?
Okay. Yeah, no.
Signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
No.
Let's do a roll call vote, please. Hillary?
Lucas,
No.
Denham,
Yes.
Cooper,
Yes.
Howden,
Yes.
LeBlanc,
Yes.
Schultz.
Yes.
So the result of the vote is 5-1, motion carries. The no is Alderman Lucas. So that was on the amendment.
Yeah. So the amendments have been approved. Now, I would entertain a motion and a
So we already have a motion and second on the floor. We just need a vote on the bill as amended.
Okay,
And that does need to be a roll call.
so we have a motion on the floor. We're going to be voting for the ordinance as amended. So Hillary, would you do a roll call vote, please?
Lucas,
No.
Denham,
Yes.
Cooper,
Yes.
Howden,
Yes.
LeBlanc,
Yes.
Schultz.
Yes.
The result of the vote is 5-1, the no being Alderman Lucas. Motion carries.
There you go.
So, Your Honor, the next item is the public hearing and first reading of Bill Number 6473, an ordinance establishing the annual levy of a property tax for general revenue in the city of Branson, Missouri, a city of the fourth class.
So I am now opening a public hearing and begin with a staff report from Colby.
And Colby is online, and
Oh,
we're
hello, Colby.
bringing him up.
Colby, you should be able to speak now. Are you there?
Good evening.
We can hear you loud and clear.
Very good. Here to present the staff report. As noted, the property tax levy is set annually per state statute. Assessed values are received from the county and submitted to the state auditor for review. The proposed tax levy is calculated and set to maintain revenue, what is called the revenue neutral, meaning the city does not have to receive a significant amount more revenue from year to year. The county clerk provides the city with pre-board of equalization numbers for the city to calculate the levy. A notification is published in the local newspaper for a public hearing concerning the proposed property tax levy, and the rate published was 0.6158 or 0.6158 mils. The city's tax rate cannot go higher than what is published, but can be lower. Those final numbers on that tax rate were 0.5845 per $100 of assessed valuation. The governing board is required to hold a public hearing, as we're doing right now, setting the 2024 tax levy rate will be collected in the budget year of 2025. The public hearing notification was published at a tax rate commensurate with what was sent to the board at 0.6158 per $100 of assessed value. And the rate is determined using numbers prior to the Board of Equalization values. For reference, the city's 2023 tax rate was 0.5821 per $100 of assessed value. Of note, these rates are provided by the state auditor, so they will not substantially change from what is listed here. That's our report.
And Colby, I should have mentioned at the beginning, you're with the firm Baker Tilly, correct?
That is correct.
Our accounting firm. Any members of the board wishing to speak to this? Any members of the audience? Public hearing is now closed. You've heard the first reading of Bill number 6473. Do I have a motion approving this bill?
So moved. Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any members of the board wishing to speak regarding this matter before we vote? Anyone in the audience? So let's vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Ayes have it.
So, Your Honor, the next item is appointments. The appointment process is in accordance with the board and committee appointments procedure for Category 2 appointments made by the governing body. The board will be voting by ballot, and the two applicants receiving the most votes will be appointed to the Tourism Community Enhancement District with a term expiring September 2027.
Do I have a motion to vote by ballot on the following applications for the Tourism Community Enhancement District?
So moved. Second.
We have a motion and a second. The board will be voting by ballot. City clerk will read the results. You'll be handing those out, Hill?
I'm going to come collect them. If everybody could vote, you guys already have them. I will now read the results. Alderman Lucas voted for Cindy Mary and Sue Braun. Alderman Denham voted for Cindy Mary and Sue Braun. Alderman Cooper voted for Timothy Haygood and Sue Braun. Alderman Howden, Cindy Mary, Sue Braun. Alderman LeBlanc, Timothy Haygood and Sue Braun. And Alderman Schultz, Cindy Mary, and Sue Braun. So the result of the vote is 6 for Sue Braun, 4 for Cindy Mary, 2 for Timothy Haygood. So the two that are being appointed to the TCED are Cindy Mary and Sue Braun.
This is asking me to say so moved.
We did that already, so I think we're good there.
So congratulations, everybody. How fortunate we are of a community that has 10 very highly valued individuals that were applying for TCED. Our volunteers that volunteer on all our committees make a huge difference in how our city runs. We are now at the report section of our meeting. Alderman Lucas.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I think that this is another opportunity for the public to know that we are doing our very best as members of the board to represent them and make sure that everything is done in a proper and just right manner. And so I know that there are going to be some people that are upset tonight because of some of the decisions and things that were said, but I will be able to go home and put my head on my pillow and sleep fine.
Very nice. Ruth?
Yes, I'd like to say thank you to our city staff, all our departments, the deconstruction that was held at the Branson Police, for the new Branson Police Department was fantastic. It was one of the most different groundbreakings I've ever been to. It wasn't a groundbreaking, it was a total deconstruction. It was a blast. So thank you to everyone and for all that was put into it. And I would also like to say congratulations to our House Representative, Brian Seitz, for your win, for your run for House Rep. Thank you so much for serving.
Nothing, Mayor.
Thank you. Marshall?
Value of the month, Mr. Mayor, volunteerism. Where I'm from, being a volunteer is a big deal. So I'd just like to say thank you to all our volunteers.
Tennessee Volunteers. Alderman LeBlanc.
I'm going to go just the opposite way. You know, every time I'm in here with you guys, I always thank these department heads for all the hard work they do. And I'd be remiss if I didn't mention the guys down below you that are working in the heat, that are making sure that your toilet's flush, and when you turn the water on, it comes out, and Parks and Rec is clean for people to go have a good time. I mean, those guys are the heartbeat of this community, and you know, a couple weeks ago, we got some pretty hot weather, and those guys really, I mean, they buckled down, and they didn't balk, and they just made sure our community was moving the way that it should move. So to all those people and all those departments that are changing trash can liners and cutting grass and weeding and doing all those things, man, thank you so, so much. You are making a difference and you matter.
Alderman Schultz.
Yeah, a couple of quick things. First, I think you're aware I serve on the airport board for our airport over next door here. Just want to announce they just finished a $400,000 capital project. They've put new runway reflectors in, new windsock, new beacon, and so they're pretty excited over there. They're getting good reports from the first pilots that have gone in and out of the airport that it's been a great improvement. So all the NOTAMs are lifted over there and they're back to full business. One interesting thing for us, though, as a board, just we should keep an eye on, they mentioned, so they obviously produce financials and talk about how the airport's doing. They did mention that in this last month, they see that their service volume is down, which translates to they don't have as many pilots coming in spending as much money, whether it's hangar time, tie down time, fuel, those kind of things. And their observation was that, at least in that month, that they were seeing more pilots come in just doing one-day trips and leaving instead of staying for several days, renting a car, going into town and doing all those things. So it's just one economic thing we might want to keep an eye on as we're looking at some of our other economic indicators as a city. It could have very well been the construction and other things that triggered some of that, but we should factor it in with the rest of our data. On the whole data center ordinance thing, it's been said, but I want to thank the community. I can't even count how many phone calls, people stopping me on the sidewalk, stopping me in stores to talk about it, texts, you name it. I mean, this has been one of the most engaged subjects that I've seen in my short time on the board. So I thank the community for their input. Why they may not be completely satisfied with the result, I sincerely want to thank Terra Industries and particularly Gabe and Bob for their good representation of what they were trying to accomplish, and they really did adapt their plans as they learned what some of the wishes of Branson were. So I hope that they find their way to be able to make this work and bring their business to Branson. Also want to thank the mayor. The mayor was heavily engaged in all of our planning meetings around this ordinance, countless hours on teleconferences with us and the staff. So thank you, Mayor, and thank you, Kathy, Alex, and Holly, Amanda, and Jennifer for all the great work that you've done there. And I also have to say thanks to my cohort over there, Alderman Artie, because he was very helpful. We held a town hall meeting. He was a great counselor to me just in general procedures and directions on how we might go with this thing, and I really appreciate what Artie brought to the table. And then lastly, I just too want to thank all the candidates and for the board, the TCED board. For me, being relatively new in this role and trying to sort through the candidates and who would best fill some of these positions, I especially want to thank the candidates that took the time to either call or write an email to me explaining why they are running, what they see the issues are, and what they would like to tackle. That heavily influenced my decision, and I'd encourage in the future that others that seek these types of positions take that opportunity to individually reach out to the aldermen and talk with them about why you're running for those positions. But I want to thank all the candidates. Like the mayor said, it's unbelievable that we can get a slate of candidates as high quality of that as that, and then have the opportunity to sort through it and try to pick the two best ones to represent us on that board. So thank you for all that did that. Thank you, Mayor.
You bet. Kathy? Nope. Oh. Excuse me, I just wanted to briefly share that a few months ago, we started a new committee called Operation Unity. It is for every single entity in Branson that honors our veterans. We're on several different tasks. One is, I've sent out an email recently to a list of veteran organizations that I'm aware of, and I know I'm missing some. What I'm initially trying to do is consolidate our list for this year's Veterans Week. Over the last couple of years during Veterans Week, I've had several veterans share some disappointment that they wanted to attend a couple different events and they were unable to because the times overlapped. So I'm not asking any of the veteran organizations to change their plans. I'm just trying to consolidate one schedule that has everything on it. And as you're making plans, it may consider going to that schedule, and instead of picking 4 o'clock, if that's already taken, maybe, choose a 2 or 6. But that's on a volunteer basis. That schedule, if you know of anybody or anybody's listening that knows of a veterans organization that hasn't heard from me personally, I'd ask them to reach out. And any organizations that are interested in joining Operation Unity, our next meeting is August 30th at 9 a.m. at the Chamber. There are no membership fees. This is purely for the veterans. And we'll be putting out a calendar pretty soon for May of next year. May is the National Military Appreciation Month, and we already have some things scheduled for May, and some of the organizations may want to add something on either side of those dates. So with that, I appreciate everybody coming out. I truly appreciate the input that we get from our citizens. It makes us a better city. And with that, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So move.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Ayes have it. Thank you.